Hello and welcome back to Honey Hill on this very hot and sunny July day. We are going to be working in the lower back terrace of my garden, planting blue and white perennials and a hydrangea to add to my blue, white, and yellow border. Now, I'm going to be trying to mostly add perennials that I already have and just bulking up the quantity of them in this border for greater repeat and impact. Things that I found that I really love and just really want more of, like the scabiosa that I love so much, the Fama series. I have the white and the blue that I'm going to be adding to the garden. But so many things are looking really good, and you know, we've had temperatures in the 90s on the regular, and in our 10-day forecast we're getting dangerously close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So the garden is hanging on. There's a lot of weeding to be done. There's always weeding to be done. There's never not weeding to be done. And a lot of, this is sort of the time of year where I am strategically moving through the garden and doing a lot of the midsummer cutback. So refreshing like the nepeta and all of the herbaceous perennials that, like the hardy geranium, that need to be cut down to the ground so that they can reflush. All of those things. The delphiniums, I'm just going to be moving through as I see things too, and I'll try to walk you guys through what I do. I know I've gotten some people asking me to not speed up the videos where I do work so that I explain more of my process, and let me know in the comments if you want more of that instruction and feedback, or if you just like kind of like the satisfaction of seeing the before and after and the work being done. So let me show you, let me move the camera and show you what I got. Also, I have to say there is a lily blooming in the lily pond, and there are swallowtail butterflies literally everywhere, and that just makes me so happy. This has been such a beautiful year for butterflies in my garden, as well as hummingbirds as usual. And I see a yellow jacket right now, but actually the yellow jackets haven't been as bad this year as they can be. But anyway, let me go over what I got. So I've got one of these blue delphiniums. Now this one is the Aurora blue. It's a pretty standard blue delphinium, really lovely rich cobalt blue that is relatively easy to find. Now this pot, it was kind of expensive, but there's actually 3 individual plants in here. And if I wanted to, I could take them and separate them. However, I think I'm gonna plant them in this big clump for now and may divide it later. But the thing I've noticed, so I planted blue delphiniums in this border last summer, and they're still tiny. They have not shot up and put out their stalks. And I believe the reason is this is all fill, and it's very much sandy loam down here, whereas the rest of my garden in the native soil is clay, and the delphiniums love that very weighty clay soil. They perform the best for me in those native areas. So I think what I'm going to need to do going forward is heavily amending where those delphiniums are. I might even dig them up and or just heavily mulch around them if I don't dig them up with compost, manure, anything to really richen and deepen up the soil, bulk up the soil. Okay, so now I also have just one, and I have 3 of these already over by my hose spigot here. This is the double jewel hardy geranium. It's bloomed and it doesn't look like anything right now. I'm going to be cutting it back to where there's some new growth so that this can reflush. But this is what the flowers look like. You might have seen it in my 4th of July or June garden tour. But they're really pretty white hardy geranium. I'm going to be adding it to that little group of 3 I have over there, just to make that drift even bigger. And then I also have a couple of the David phlox. Now this needs to be deadheaded, but this is a beautiful tall variety of phlox. Now I have a lot of issues with deer eating my phlox, and now this one is just a singular stem I wish that this was a branching, hardier specimen. I'm gonna probably have to stake this with a bamboo stake so that it doesn't snap. I had one that the nursery gave me for free because it was also like this, and it did snap at the base and is no more. So I'm gonna do my best to take care of that, but I might be looking for more David Flocksetters that look a little bit better in the future, but I definitely wanted to add them. And then here's another one. So I had 3, but now I just have the 2 of the David Phlox to add. Now, David Phlox, a lot of people say this one looks better. This one has 2 stems, but a lot of people say that the David Phlox will spread quite rampantly in their gardens, but you know, considering all of the deer pressure I have and how much they like to eat my phlox, I'm not too concerned about it, and it's one of those beautiful things that I can just edit it out. But the David Phlox gets about 36 inches to 42 inches tall, so it's very nice mid height in the garden, hardy down to zone 3, so incredibly winter hardy. That is negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and they do spread about 24 to 30 inches. Okay, and then I have, how many white ones do I have? I have at least 2. So I already have one of these Fama white scabiosa in the garden, and I have 2 more, so I'll have a little trio. And I think that I could only find 2 at the garden centers. It's harder to find multiples of things in July, even though I think I picked these up in the last couple weeks, but it's harder to find things in the summer in larger quantities. This one is missing, oh, this is blue. So I have 1, 2 of the beautiful, let me show you, the gorgeous blue. You've seen me add this to my garden in the past, but I wanted more of these, so I have, I think, 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, there's 4. So I have 4 of the Fama blue to add, and I already have 1 or 2 in here. And then this is a very special one-off that I have, and I don't want to break it. Now this, I want to see if I can go back to the nursery I picked these up at and get more. This is a Thalictrum, and it's this gorgeous album variety, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see up close, but she looks like the white version of the Roccobronianum Thalictrum, and it's going to be super tall and airy and twinkly in the blue, white, and yellow border. And if you watch my channel, you know how much I love the twinkly bits in the garden. So I would like to go and actually buy several more of her if there's any left. I don't know why I only bought 1. It's like one of those things. Like, why did I do that? And then I have, these were really not looking hot, and they still aren't. When I bought them at the nursery, I think I got these actually at North 40, which is a farm supply store. And these are the ostrich ferns. Now, I saw ostrich ferns all over England, and I thought I really want to add them to the garden. These are pushing up new fronds, but they were planted way too shallowly in their pots, so they're struggling. And I'm going to plant them in the back of the border at the base of my snowdrift crab apple tree so that they are in a little bit more shade. But clean them up, plant them, and see how they take off and how they do. I love ferns, and I don't have very many of them in the garden because I do not have a lot of shade. So I would love to make that slope behind me that's in a lot of shade from the fir tree full of ferns someday. I still have yet to set up my drip over there though, so anything I'd put in there right now would fry in our summer temperatures. And then lastly, I have this Incrediball Hydrangea, one of my favorite hydrangeas, and I didn't plant them until last year in my garden, and I don't know what took me so long. I have plans to add quite a few more of them to the garden, but there's two there now. I don't know if you can see behind me, the one that, the largest one. And then I'm gonna add this one, I think, to this westerly corner of the border so that you can see three in this little backdrop. And then the opposite side of the border has more of the vanilla strawberry hydrangeas. But those are the beautiful shrub and perennials I'm going to be adding to the border, and let's get started on planting. So for anyone that asks, I'm adding the Biotone organic fertilizer to the hole before I plant all my new perennials. This is from Espoma. Okay, so in this area, there's a lot of yellow going on between the coreopsis and the daisies and the alchemilla mollis, which is getting to that point of year where it's getting toasty, and I'm going to be cutting all of its bloom stalks down. There's also the white in there from the sweet woodruff, the pale yellow from the Vanessa Bell Rose. We've got white delphiniums. So we need a little breakup of all of this yellow and white with the blue. So I have 4 of these Fama deep blue scabiosa, which I'm just going to kind of drift through here like a little stream. So this is a nice shovel for using to plant 1-gallon pots. Typically, if the soil is good, in which over here it's a lot of fill, so it's pretty soft, I can get down. Yeah, it's so sandy here. And I can even usually do this in like 1 good scoop, maybe 2 here. But it's just so sandy, this soil. And then I'm actually going to be, there's also this, the Fayum white geranium in here too, which will be good to grow up and support itself through these scabiosa. So yeah, almost pure sand in here. But as we keep adding mulch, compost, and things over the years, this soil will just continue to get richer. There's something hard here. Whew. So if you follow me on Instagram, yesterday for me, I don't know what day it will be for you guys, but yesterday we had a large black bear visit us, and we've had a lot of bears visiting us since May. Actually, since I was in England is when they started coming around. And we've been trying to do all the things. We've been working with Fish and Wildlife, trying to do all the things to not have attractants for them. However, you really have to have every single one of your neighbors on board, and there's a lot of people who live around us that, you know, we have no control over. And I'm a little bit skittish out here because this big black bear came to our house between the hours of 10:30 and noon. It was around our house yesterday, which is just, I've never had a black bear, come around in broad daylight like that. So, like in the morning, maybe, yeah, up to 6 o'clock in the morning, something like that. But not pretty much in the middle of the day. Yeah, we definitely needed blue in here to break up all of this yellow. And in the spring, I mean, we have the Nepeta, and in the spring, these irises bloom blue. But I want to have all three tones represented throughout all seasons, or all of the months of the summer, spring and summer, and the fall. But I find that blue is harder to get in the garden in the fall. Every noise freaks me out. And I don't mind that these are taller than the daisies because you can see through them. I mean, their base isn't that tall. It's just their little wafty blooms are taller, and you can see through them easily and see to the daisies. And since there's a bench here and there's going to be this little patio back here where we sit and can have this view of the daisies also, I'm especially not concerned. This is definitely not native Honey Hill soil. This is sandy, which is great for some things like lavender, which is why I probably should add a bunch of white lavender down here. But it's not great for things like delphiniums, who love rich soil. Okay, so my camera overheated, but I've planted the Incrediball Hydrangea, another of that double white jewel hardy geranium. I did a David Phlox behind it, but I'm not sure if that isn't going to snap, and the other one also snapped. So the David Phlox were a major flop today, but I planted the two Fama white scabiosa. I planted the two white Fama scabiosa here, and there was a third one already here, actually 4. So there's another one behind it. So there's a little drift here. I was noticing the deer came through last night and they did a bunch of damage in the garden, particularly on the Japanese anemones. They ate a bunch of my hydrangea blooms, which is a bummer because when they eat those, that's all you get for the year. Anyway, everything's watered in. I planted the 4 Fama blue scabiosa over here as a stream amidst the yellow daisies that you can see really well right now, and the yellow coreopsis. So those are so beautiful. So there's 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that will break up all of this strong presence of yellow. And then in the back, I planted the 2 ostrich ferns behind this bench. If you can see there and there. So those will be nice as you're sitting on the bench and as those grow, and they do get more shade back there. But yes, if I were to get you up close on like my bobo hydrangeas and things, you would see all the deer damage, and I've cut everything away as much as I can so that it doesn't look as scraggly. They've even come and eaten the scabiosa that were here. Like this is a stem that they ate that I missed to cut back. But I'm going to be, yes, cutting back the Alchemilla mollis. I already cut this one back, so you'll see the difference of what they look like when you cut all the bloom stalks back. I feel like they look hot and dry at this time of year when the weather is so hot. So it's nice. You just want to keep as much green as possible. And I'm just noticing, oh my gosh, I didn't even see this. Look how many, the deer ate almost all of this Bobo hydrangea's blooms. That is such a pain. Oh, that is so sad. So, I mean, we've been spraying every 3-4 days, and I've been busy with my girls the last couple evenings with their ballet and things, and I hadn't sprayed in a few days, and it just takes that little bit of missing it, and everything is so dry right now that the deer are getting more and more desperate. So that is so upsetting. But look at the lily pond. There's a lily blooming, and there's a dead moth. But the beautiful lily and the beautiful erigeron daisies. Okay, so I'm overheating in addition to my camera overheating. It is hot today, a hot July day. I hope you enjoyed seeing me plant these perennials in my blue, white, and yellow border, and as well as just knowing that, you know, if you deal with deer, I'm constantly dealing with them too, and they are just the wildlife is just sometimes frustrating. But anyway, the garden is hanging on. I'm still so happy with how the majority of everything is looking. I hope you enjoyed this too. We'll see you next time. Happy gardening. Bye.